What's up, guys? Thanks so much for joining me today for what's gonna be a haul. I mentioned in a previous video that I had done some shopping at Ulta, some unnecessary shopping, and asked you guys if you wanted to see this, and you said yes. So I do have some demos here, certainly some swatches, and we got a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and get started. First, let's start with a super quick repurchase. I bought new blades for my DERMAFLASH. It's basically a face razor, and I'd used all my blades. This is a 12-week replenishment kit, so it comes with 12 blades and a cleanser and a moisturizer. I personally never use the cleanser and the moisturizer, but this is the first time I'm buying a replacement blade pack, and this is the only kit I could find. Had both the cleanser and the moisturizer. So if you can just buy the blades, I recommend that, but overall do recommend the DERMAFLASH, and they say you're supposed to replace a blade every week. I don't. I have had my DERMAFLASH for a year and have still used the same pack of 4 blades. I don't use it every week, so that could be why I've been able to stretch it out, but I also use the blades many, many times over before I replace them because they stay sharp. I find I don't need to replace them. I spritz them with a little bit of alcohol and they keep me going for quite a long time. Now let's talk about face products. There were a few that intrigued me there. First of which is the Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. This is not what I'm wearing today, but I have used this before yesterday, and so I can show you sort of a before and after. It's a tinted moisturizer. It provided more coverage than I had anticipated and gave me a nice glowy, balmy sheen to my skin, and yet stayed in place. I feel like I, years ago got really put off of tinted moisturizers because it felt like they were more lotion than anything and wouldn't dry down. I'd look greasy at the end of the day, didn't provide any coverage. I didn't see a point in them. This is not a tinted moisturizer of years past. It provides a good amount of tint, layerable tint, I would say, light to medium coverage, but I do think it's not my right shade. I have shade number 41, light medium, and it's like a spring summer shade for me. It's a little too deep for me right now, but I like it. It's pretty nice. It's a nice way to get relatively natural coverage, a natural glow to the skin, and yet still even your skin out if, like me, you tend to have some, redness and light texture. The thing is, though, I also got the e.l.f. Camo CC Cream in the shade Light 280N. Very similar, also a little bit too deep for me right now, gonna be a spring summer shade. It's what I'm wearing today. It's very close. I would say it's a very close dupe for the Stay Naked Hydromaniac. So if you've been curious about this, maybe try the e.l.f. Camo CC Cream instead, because it too is supposed to be more like it says color correcting, full coverage, natural finish. I wouldn't say it's full coverage. I would say it's, again, light, medium, depending on how much you want to layer it up. This is one pump, basically, all across my skin, and I think it covers really nicely, but when you get up close, especially underneath all the blush, bronzer, powder I'm wearing, you can still see some of the texture in my skin, but not in a bad way, in a very natural looking way, and it leaves the skin looking and feeling very hydrated, very dewy and glowy. Very similar properties to the Urban Decay, but obviously a fraction of the price. So pretty happy to say I stumbled on a little dupe situation there. Then the third face thing that I picked up is from Stila, and it's been a while since I've been curious about anything they've launched. Their Tinted Moisturizer Skin Balm. So again, I don't know why I'm on a tinted moisturizer kick, but this intrigued me because a skin balm, what even is that? I got the shade 2.0. I think they have 8 shades, and I'm assuming because it's supposed to be sheer, light, medium, that, many skin tones are going to fall into one, which is how they explain the narrower shade range. This might be too light for me. Shade 2.0. This might be a little bit too light for me right now. Interesting. This is going to be... I might need to do a separate video on this because this is going to take a little bit to experiment with, I think. This isn't your average tinted moisturizer or foundation. I'm a little nervous that with that balm texture, it's going to move around a lot and maybe make me look greasy, but who knows? Time will tell. Gotta give it a try. I also picked up a new tinted brow gel. This one is from Revlon. It is their ColorStay Brow Fiber Filler, and the shade I picked up is medium brown. This I was super interested in because years ago, I think it was Revlon, released a tinted brow gel, loved the formula, but the wand was the worst. It had this massive ball tip at the end of it, at the end of like a relatively normal looking mascara wand, and it was wildly impractical. Like you had to have massive brows for that ball to make sense for you. I thought anyway. You could cut the ball off, but you needed like wire cutters to do it was a lot of work, I thought, when there are other products out there. And so despite the amazing formula, never bought it again after it was all used up. So I wanted to give this a try, and I have to say I am really impressed. So this wand is a real winner, and it's one I've never seen before. It has one side that is the length of like a full but still very short and stubby mascara wand with plastic bristles, and then halfway through you do get like a short little brow wand. And what I have found out just in this first application, because I'm wearing it on my brows today, is the short end is great for depositing product on your brows, like really laying it on. That's where a lot of the product seems to live. And then the longer side is great for distributing it throughout your brows. When I just use the long part, I don't notice a lot of product getting in my brows. It just kind of helps shape them and comb through. That end is what you're really going to want to use to lay the product in there. And I'm really pleased with how they all came out. So far, it's a decent hold. My brows don't feel crunchy or crispy, but they are certainly staying in place, and there's a good amount of tint in here, so they help fill them in and beef them up too. There are fibers, that really helps with volumizing. I'm just really impressed with this formula so far. It's kind of like a hybrid gel pomade. It's thicker than a gel, I would say. So it makes your brows feel more substantial. There's something to actually cling to your brows, and I like that too. So no telling how long it lasts. I literally just applied it and it's my first time using it, but so far I am really impressed with the effect they give the brows. Moving on to the face, I finally picked up one of the blush and highlight duos from e.l.f. This is in the shade Pomegranate, where you have it kind of looks matte, but it also has some shimmer. It looks like a matte base with some shimmer berry blush shade, and then a medium shade champagne highlighter. And I have not used this yet, but I'm excited. I've heard great things about these duos, and just at first glance, it looks really nice. Next up is a cream blush from Milani. It is the Cheek Kiss Cream Blush, and I got the shade Merlot Moment. Again, not wearing this today, so I really can't tell you what it's like on the skin, if it dries down, lasting power, anything like that, but I can tell you it looks very pigmented, so I'm excited to use that. What I am wearing on my face is a product that I have really mixed feelings about. It is the Physicians Formula All-Star Face Palette. What I'm excited for and love about this palette is how thin it is. Can we take a moment to remember the Butter palette that they first came out with, which was this massive cardboard brick. It was cumbersome, like hard to travel with, hard to store. It just didn't make sense. They finally figured their palette packaging out, and for that, super grateful. However, inside you have all-star products, so a pretty classic cast of characters: Butter Bronzer, Mineral Glow Pearls, Happy Booster Glow Mood Boosting Blush down here. Very fragranced, which I don't mind. My skin doesn't really tend to have an issue with, but if you do, definitely steer clear of this. What I don't love about this, and I think is its biggest shortcoming, is there was such an opportunity to have like different varieties of this, like at least a light, medium, and deep. This is the only selection of shades. So even though in their Muru Muru Butter Bronzer collection, they have a nice spectrum, especially compared to what they've had in the past, this is only going to cater to like a narrow portion of shade ranges. Like these are going to be too deep for very fair skin or light skin tones even, and it's certainly going to be too light for deep skin tones. So I feel like that was I love, it's what I'm wearing today. Like I said, I love the way my skin looks. I mean, the Mineral Glow Pearls, I'm looking like a fantastic Tin Man today, and I'm perfectly okay with that, but only so many people, so many skin tones can actually use that, unless you use different products for things they're, not necessarily intended for, like eyeshadows or setting powders or, whatever the case, which is fine. But as far as being a blush, bronzer, highlight powder for everyone, no. Now let's move into the eyes. Lots of fun swatches coming up here shortly. I first picked up 3 of the new Revlon So Fierce Prismatic palettes. The one that I'm wearing on my eyes today is That's a Dub. And because this is the only one that I've used so far, it's the only one that I feel like I can safely say this about, but these remind me a lot of Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows. So they are wet dry shadows. You can use them obviously dry, foiled with a mixing medium, water, whatever you prefer to use, or use with your finger to really pack on the color. And they have like a a cream powder hybrid formula, so they're incredibly smooth. When you do use a finger with these, it just comes off with such incredible pigmentation. But when you use just a brush, they do sheer out a little bit, but they have this incredibly finely milled shimmer to them that they look like a luxurious shimmer and not like a really chunky disco ball kind of like a Charlotte Tilbury, like a high-end kind of shimmer. It's the only way I can describe it. So they're really versatile, they're really luxurious feeling, and this palette in particular is such a classic cool tone taupes sort of palette. I used this shade right here, basically all over my lid and up into the crease, and then I took the least shimmery satin cream shade over here on my brow bone and inner corner, deepened up my outer corner with the deepest shade in here, using all of this dry. And then I went in with the shade I just swatched on my finger and used my finger to pat that in the center of my lid. And I just really like what an effortless but still like classic look it gave me. I do think they might take some getting used to for some people who like super pigmented shadows on your brush like right out of the gate, because if you want that kind of pigmentation, you're gonna have to use your fingers or you're going to have to use them wet. And that might be an extra step people don't want to take, and I totally get it. But I think if you're willing to work with these are like incredible formulas. At least, again, have not used the other two like on my eyes, but from what I can tell you with this one, I really like them. Another palette I picked up was the Milani Gilded Terra palette, and this just struck me as such an interesting combination of colors. It reminds me a lot of one of the Oma Beauty, the Carnival palette, which I really like, but this is like an expanded version of that, and with a mixture of textures. Like there are mattes and satins, shimmery, borderline glittery looking shades in here. It just struck me as a palette that could really take you so many places because it had that combination of earth tones and colorful shades. So expect a few like makeup short tutorials using this. Next, I got my hands on one of the new 5-pan palettes from Wet n Wild, and I haven't opened this yet, so I actually do have the name up here. It's called Go Commando. It looks super pretty. Obviously, I haven't opened it yet, so I can't speak to the formula just yet, but I recently reviewed, in case you missed it, the new 10-pan palettes they put out in the Color Icon collection, and I was really impressed with those. So I do have super high hopes for this. This looks like a very classic warm-toned neutrals palette, but there are some things here, like this looks like a very green-toned brown shade, which is kind of hard to come by. Same with this gold right here. It has sort of a green undertone, and then combined with these more red-based colors, it just seemed like a really interesting kind of contrast to go after. So very excited to give this a try as well. Last up for the eyes is a new liner from Revlon. It's the So Fierce Chrome Ink Liquid Liner, and I got mine in Ultraviolet Foil. And I love a bold, colorful liner, even a textured liner like this, just because I feel like if you just walk out of the house with a colorful wing or a subtle, cat eye flick, it looks like you put in so much effort when you really maybe didn't necessarily. Maybe that's just the lazy makeup lover in me. I don't know. Either way, saw this, really liked it, and it is a pen, which I also really like because those ones where you dip in, those just, for me, are just harder to use. I prefer something that's closer to a pen. This is a felt tip pen. Hopefully it's a soft one because there's nothing more annoying than an itchy felt tip liner. Actually, I'm tempted. Let's just go ahead and do it. It looks like it could complement what I have going on. Ooh, it is very soft. It's a super soft felt tip, and it's pointed enough where you can get a pretty decent wing. The color's nice. The pigmentation is nice. I mean, you can really get a good sense that that is a purple liner. It looks almost pearlescent as opposed to metallic, but that could also be the fact that I'm putting it over some pretty heavily shiny eye makeup. And this I was tempted to get in many more shades, but I wanted to see. Eyeliners can just be hard sometimes, especially if they are scratchy. You can tell. It's one of my #1 pet peeves about eyeliners is if they are scratchy and uncomfortable, I just won't use them. So now that I know though that they work well, they're very pigmented, and they're comfortable to use, I might need to get more shades because they had maybe not quite a few, but like 4 colors, I want to say, in this. Oh, I actually have one more eye thing to talk about, and this is important because it's a fail for me. Because I got the Camo CC cream from e.l.f., I got a free mascara called Lash It Loud Volumizing Mascara. It is what I'm wearing today, and I do not like it. It is an uncomfortable, I mean, I don't like what it does for my lashes. I didn't find it was especially volumizing, lengthening, anything like that. Like I have a lot of other mascaras that I really prefer the effect they give my lashes compared to this, and an uncomfortable cherry on top is the wand. It's very sharp. It's one of those plastic wands, but it's very sharp. In comparison, I feel like other brands kind of dull the spikes on their wands, and not this guy. Anytime I get close to my skin or my waterline, it was like Velcro, just very uncomfortable. And given that I don't love what it does for my lashes, I would not recommend. Now, last up are lips. Let's talk about some new lipsticks from Milani. These, I heard Jessica Braun talking about, raving about them. What are these called? I think it's Lip Fetish, because the shade that I'm looking at right now is called Voyeur, and I think I remember looking at some of these shades and thinking, wow, yes, they really leaned into the name. Like, this red one is called Roleplay. This other one is called Lingerie. It must be Lip Fetish. That sounds familiar. Anywho, I picked these up. I am wearing the shade Lingerie on my lips today, and it looks, I mean, compared to the shirt, which I would say is hot pink, looks closer to a hot pink, even though the tube itself is more corally compared to a shade like Voyeur, which is actually hot pink. Anywho, this is an interesting formula. It feels very lightweight. It is a completely opaque lipstick, really more of a traditional lipstick formula, I would say. Opaque, glides on very smoothly. The one thing that is a little off-putting, at least the only shade that I've worn is the one I'm wearing right now, it's grainy. It has kind of a texture to it that is unlike any other traditional, like, silky satin cream lipstick. It's got a weird texture to it. Let me know if you tried these and if you've experienced the same thing, because I was not expecting that. I was kind of expecting more of a cream finish sort of thing, and so that caught me off guard. It's not totally off-putting. I can definitely live with it, especially because so far it's been very comfortable. A little bit of transfer, like, I don't know if you can see, might be able to see it a little bit on my mouth thing here. There's definitely transfer, but not a ton, so it can withstand some drinking and like light eating so far from what I've seen. It's just a very bizarre texture. I don't know, I can't describe it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I guess time will tell if I continue to wear them. And the last lip products, the last things I had to talk about in this video are the Revlon ColorStay Satin Inks. Revlon has dominated the new products in this video. So, I mean, I haven't tried these. I literally just opened them up from the wrappers, which, interesting new wrapping, I have to say. I guess it's better than impossible wrapping, and certainly better than finding out your product's been used when you get it home, especially if you like shopping in store. But it was kind of hard to see the colors, like this one shade that I have called Holy Pumpkin, a really beautiful burnt orange looking shade. Behind this, I thought I had ordered 2 different red shades, only to find out, kind of made me question my reality a little bit, not gonna lie, but luckily I did in fact order another red shade that is called My Own Boss. It's more of a blue-based red, and it's just been a minute since I've used a liquid, long-lasting lip product, and so kind of wanted to see what these were about. A satin ink sounds intriguing, like it's there to stay long-term, but it's maybe like a whisper of color, or something like slightly tinted and glossy, but still lasts a long time. I don't know. I was intrigued, picked them up. I'll have to let you know how they fare. Speaking of, as we approach the end of the video, I would love your thoughts. How do you want to see reviews of the products that I really haven't used yet? Do you like short little individual videos, or do you want to see something longer, more in depth, like a Where Are They Now? Featuring items from this haul. You know what I mean? Let me know down in the comments below, please, if you would. And besides that, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye, guys.